Hello friends, I am Dr. Nitin Kumar Putharia and today I am here again with another topic for our NAT/SAT preparation for the English subject. Today we are going to focus on the very important topic which is the topic number 7 in the UGC NET syllabus, that is cultural studies. Friends, when we talk about cultural studies, the words come to our mind that what is culture, how power is related to it, how identity plays its role, how something is represented before the people. So we shall try to understand cultural studies with its important thinkers. So let us start our lecture. Let us understand the quick facts about cultural studies first. Uh, Friends, cultural studies actually started after the post-World War II in Britain. Actually, at the Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies, that is called CCCS, which was started at the University of Birmingham in the 1964. Richard Hoggart, please remember this name. Richard Hoggart was the founder of this center. And then uh, Stuart Hall and Richard Johnson were the key directors of this cultural studies center at Birmingham. Cultural studies is not studying any particular topic, but it is a vast topic. It is interdisciplinary. It includes many things like culture, media, power, identity, ideology, society, etc. So it's an interdisciplinary field which includes many branches of knowledge. So let us try to understand what this cultural studies is actually. Raymond Williams says that culture is ordinary, not something added on to the life, but something trait is already there. So it is told by Raymond Williams. Now let us try to understand what is cultural studies. Cultural studies is an interdisciplinary field that examines culture, society, and power. It studies how meanings are produced, circulated, and contested in everyday life. It includes popular culture and everyday life, media and communication, identity, race, gender, class, ideology and representation, power and resistance. So, friends, we can understand that there are many things under the umbrella term culture. If we see the historical background of cultural studies, it emerged in post-war Britain, means 1940s to 1960s, during the industrial capitalism, mass media expansion, and youth movements. It reacted against the traditional elitist views of culture, and it was influenced by Marxism, sociology, anthropology, semiotics, feminism, and postcolonial theory. Uh, Birmingham School became the foundation of modern cultural studies. If we try to understand the aims and purposes of it, so they were to study culture as a site of ideological struggle, to analyze how power operates through culture, to explore representation and identity, and to give voice to marginalized groups, to connect theory with social reality. So, friends, the ultimate aim of cultural study is that they speak for the marginal groups of the society. They want them to come to the center. There are some key concepts in cultural studies like culture. So, what is the meaning of culture? Culture means the belief system of the people, their religious and social practices, the shared meanings they have. All these things comes under culture. The way of life, their way of living also comes under culture. Second concept is ideology. Ideology means system of ideas that support power. We can see that in our society, if we have majority uh, of the people believing in something, that ideology dominates the uh, politics, or they dominates the power of the society. The third concept, and very important concept, is hegemony, which was given by Gramsci. Antonio Gramsci, Antonio Gramsci gave the concept of hegemony. It means that power maintained through consent. We give the consent, and through that consent, people are ruling over us. The fourth concept is representation, that how we are portrayed. Then comes the identity, socially constructed selfhood, discourse, that is language shaping knowledge, and resistance, that is challenge to dominant power. When a power goes very high and it becomes so much dominant, at that time some downtrodden people or marginalized people would try to resist them, and they would try to challenge that dominant power system. That is called resistance. Uh, uh, there are many key thinkers, and they have contributed to the cultural studies. Let us try to understand about them one by one, starting with Richard Hoggart, 1918 to 2014. Richard Hoggart was the founder of CCCS Center at the Birmingham University. He has written a major work, that is the uses of literacy in 1957. We have to remember the work name of this work along with the date. Uh, Hogarth studied working class culture and impact of mass media. Then comes Raymond Williams, 1921 to 1988. His major works are Culture and Society, published in 1958, and The Long Revolution, published in 1961. He said that culture is ordinary, and he developed cultural materialism, the concept of cultural materialism. We shall try to understand this in some other lecture. Then comes Stuart Hall, 1932 to 2014. He was the leading figure of Birmingham School. He developed encoding and decoding theory in 1973. He also wrote on race, identity, and representation and media. We have to remember him because he is a key figure of cultural studies. Then comes Antonio Gramsci, 1891 to 1937. He gave the concept of hegemony, influenced by cultural studies. And he said that power is maintained through culture and ideology. Then comes Aurora Barth, 1915 to 1980. He introduced semiotics in culture, and his major work, we have to remember this work, that is mythologies. He tried to understand mythologies. Uh, this work was published in 1957, and he told that culture is a system of science. So he tried to understand culture through semiotics, through language, and through science. Then comes Edward Said, 1935 to 2003. His major work is Orientalism, published in 1978. He exposed colonial representation and cultural dominance over it. And then comes, we can also include Homi Bhabha, and then comes Judith Butler. In 1956, she was born, and her major contribution was on gender performativity. Uh, Her work, Gender Trouble, The Second Sex, these are the important works by her. And she talks that gender is constructed through repeated acts and discourse. Gender is not natural. Let us try to understand the theory of Stuart Hall, that is encoding decoding theory. According to him, media messages are encoded by producers and decoded differently by audiences. So, encoding happens from media, from media producers. Then they send a message, and that message is received by the audience, and audience try to understand that. That is called decoding. Now, this decoding, in this process of the decoding, we can find three types of readings. One is dominant hegemonic reading, means in such message people accepts and agrees with the meaning. Whatever is told to them, people accept them without uh, giving any kind of resistance to that. So acceptance and being agree with the meaning is called dominant or hegemonic type of reading. Then the second type is negotiated, in which partial acceptance is there, mm, uh, but some meanings are modified. Means total acceptance is missing here. And then comes the oppositional, the third type, in which it rejects the message and offers alternative meaning. So means complete rejection of the message, and then giving the resistance with their alternative meaning. So friends, we are to remember this theory of encoding decoding by Stuart Hall. Uh, Cultural studies uh, include many areas. It studies many things like media and communication, in which TV, film, internet, news, social media uh, can be included. Then comes popular culture, in which music, fashion, sports, celebrity culture, all these are studied under popular culture. Then comes race and ethnicity, in which racism, diaspora, and identity politics are studied. Then comes gender and sexuality, in which feminism, queer theory, masculinity studies are also studied under subdivision of this cultural studies. Then come class and economy, in which capitalism, consumerism, working class culture is studied. Then post-colonial studies, in which colonialism, hybridity, otherness are studied. Then come youth and subcultures like punks, hippies, urban tribes, digital communities, and then and at last globalization, in which culture, migration, transnational identities, all these things are studied under the umbrella term cultural studies. So we can see the vast range of cultural studies in under which there are interdisciplinary fields which are being studied. Uh, if someone wants to do research in cultural studies, then how it is uh, it can be done. So first is textual analysis, means study of media, text, literature, film, that can be called textual analysis. Then second method is discourse analysis, means examines language and meaning. Third is audience studies, means how audience interprets media. Fourth is ethnography, that is field work and observation of the communities. Then comes semiotic analysis, means study of signs and symbols. Then comes historical and contextual analysis, like understanding cultural change, how cultural change comes in the society through different periods. So these are some of the methods through which cultural studies research can be carried out. Cultural studies uh, has been influenced by many different fields or ideas or ideologies, like Marxism, through in which class, ideology, and capitalism were discussed. Feminism, in which gender inequality and patriarchies were focused on. Psychoanalysis, in which subjectivity and identity are focused. Semiotics, in which signs, symbols, and meanings are at the center. Post-structuralism, in which power and discourse are studied. Postcolonialism, in which colonial power and identity are uh, focused on. And Gramsci's concept of hegemony and consent. So these are the areas through which cultural studies was influenced by. Why cultural studies matters? It matters because it understands everyday culture. It challenges dominant ideologies. It gives voice to the marginalized groups. It links theory with the real social issues. It helps critical analysis of media and society. And it encourages social change and awareness. Uh, Cultural studies is also been criticized for too political and ideological thinking in it. It lacks clear methods and boundaries. It gives overemphasis on popular culture, and it accused of relativism, means there is no fixed truth, but relative truths are there, and it is complex and hard to generalize. If we see the latest developments from in the 20th 21st century, from 2020 to 26, we can find that new uh, ideas are emerging in this field, like study of AI, algorithms, and digital culture, social media, influencer and meme culture, streaming platforms and global media monopolies, climate crisis and environmental cultures, identity, mental health, and online communities. So these are the emerging ideas which are too much relevant with in the age of AI. So friends, now you have understood that what the cultural studies means. Now let us have the quick recap of the timeline. In 1950s, the early cultural analysis of working class life started. In 1957, Hoggart publishes the uses of literacy. In 1958, Williams publishes Culture and Society. In 1964, CCCS, founded at the University of Birmingham. In 1973, Stuart Hall publishes Encoding or Decoding. In 1978, Edward Said publishes Orientalism. In 1990s, globalization, identity politics, and new media studies came into existence. In 2000s, digital culture, internet, and global media expansion happened. And from 2020 to 2026, we can find AI, social media, climate culture, and digital surveillance studies uh, comes into existence. So, friends, if we see the major works recap, the uses of literature by Richard Hoggart, 1957, Culture and Society by Raymond Williams, 1958, A Long Revolution by Raymond Williams, 1961, Mythologies by Roland Barthes, 1957, Encoding or Decoding by Stuart Hall, 1973, Orientalism by Edward Said in 1978. We are to remember the dates and names of the work in chronological manner. Many times in chronology questions we can find such questions. So at that time we should remember them. Uh, if you see the real world application of cultural study, media literacy and education, advertising and branding analysis, policy making and social research, community and youth studies, gender and diversity programs, digital rights and activism also comes under this cultural studies. And at last, let us remember this famous quote by Raymond Williams that culture is one of the two or three most complicated words. Very famous line. Culture is one of the two or three most complicated words in the English language. This famous line has been spoken by Raymond Williams. So, at last, in a nutshell, cultural studies examines how culture shapes and is shaped by power, identity, and society in everyday life. So, friends, now I hope that you might have overview of the cultural studies. You can go in detail through these ideas for your further studies. Thank you very much. We shall meet in the next lecture with some more important topics. Till then, goodbye. Thank you very much.